Good thing we're starting early, Charles. The maniacs are out.
Yeah, there are going to be more of them.
We just heard a loud scream, but I don't know what that was about.
It was lock her up. Lock him up.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, for people who haven't put it together, we're here outside Trump Tower for this historic press conference on a day that I don't know if I articulated this to the audience yesterday, but even though nothing went bang, I think this is one of the worst things to happen since 9/11, not because of Donald Trump,
Right.
but because of the gross abuse of justice and the fact that this is a lot of people knew this already, that there is no justice left in the United States, but
Right.
this is now writing it in stone.
Well, I would draw the contrast between what Trump was convicted for, the manner in which he was convicted, and the fact that the many people behind Scam Bankman-Fried and Zuckerberg and Soros and the others who've routed over $1 billion into ActBlue and other places to influence, let's just say, the 2020 campaign and election, the 2022, now the 2024, and you're gonna put a sitting former president and the leading candidate, I would argue, in the polls, when it's done state by state properly, with the proper weightings of independents, Democrats, and Republicans, you're gonna put the leading candidate who's never been involved in any criminal activity before up in a place where he faces 34 times 4 years in prison. And then meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is selling a mug, saying, and the mug says Hillary was right all the time or something like that. Hillary and their campaign coordinated the assault on the Trump campaign that then morphed into the assault on the Trump presidency, continues to this day. So here, what all this is, you look at that, and maybe this loser guilty. He loses Trump Tower, but the big loser in all this right now is New York City and New York State.
And everybody in America.
You're exactly right. I saw a statistic, and nobody really knows the true answer, that the amount of debt on the global economy is over 300 trillion now.
Wow.
So we have a tremendous amount of debt. A lot of it's dollar denominated. We have investors who are looking at this shit show and saying it'd be safer to invest in freaking Mogadishu than Manhattan.
Yeah.
What is
More
that
upward
noise?
mobility.
There he is again.
So this is the fake Trump?
Fake Trump, yeah.
I think this guy's crazy driving around in a presidential limo looking like Trump.
Where does he get the money, by the way?
How does he earn money from doing that, or who's doing that? It's a good question. Who's doing that?
Yeah. But as always, when you play an inside game and you think you've rigged the system, you get too confident, and they're going to lose. I think the reaction, average people who are disengaged from politics see this bullshit. Yeah. And they're going to come out and they're going to vote and they're going to go to the polling stations and they're going to make sure they're going to watch the polls, and the enthusiasm for Team Trump is so much higher than for the idiots.
Yeah, there's been a lot of reports of people saying that lefties are going on Twitter and saying that they're donating thousands and thousands of dollars to the Trump campaign.
And another nice thing, we're talking about contrast, you've been going many times down to the park opposite the courthouse, and you look here, these are supposedly independent. These are the professional press, people with press passes. But most of the onlookers here are very different, in my opinion, than the ones you saw.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw together with you down in that park. There may be pranksters and tricksters and political operatives, which is... but it's not, I would guess that excluding press and excluding police, 80% of the people that were down there that were up to no good for whatever
Absolutely.
reason. Masquerading as Trump supporters. Here's a guy with an American flag put.
Absolutely, and they became so agitated when I started saying that to them, where normal people would just be like, what are you talking about?
Right. Is that woman, is that her picture over there?
Who?
Well, the picture, I think that's the woman saying she's a loser and she's guilty. Kidding, of course. Yeah, she's taunting people.
Dancing around, right.
That's probably E. Jean Carroll.
Well, what that is assholism, because when you win to gloat,
Right.
is not sportsmanlike. It's the kind of thing that
No, it's what people do. And here's a Trump supporter, in theory, a nominal Trump supporter. If you don't know.
You know, the other thing, Charles, I was looking up what percentage of the New York population is Chinese, and I couldn't find a firm number on that.
Wait a minute. These are coordinated signs. That one is the same
Yeah.
as another one over there. Right over there. You can't see it.
Yeah, of course.
So they have these printed up. They are paid political operatives. These
It's the same people who are in the park penetrating the pro-Trump side just to be assholes. This woman comes here to be a fucking asshole. Only fucking assholes gloat when they win.
What do you really think, Jason?
Who printed these signs for you, lady? Why do you all come here with the same signs in a coordinated effort, gloating like a fucking cunt?
Let's go Giants.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll be there around.
So it's just, these are troublemakers. People who come here with that kind of shit are just...
They have a right to do it.
They have a right to do it, but I have a right to scream at her.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, how come you don't have all the idiots, the pro-Palestinian idiots who've been around?
They'll be down. They're going to be down at Washington Square Park at 5
Yeah.
today. We're kind of in the middle of something right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's just sickening. And you know what? I hope this lady or her husband or her son find themselves in court
Right.
and they understand what's going on. All these people who are like, oh, he got convicted.
It's
And
on
so-
appeal. It's definitely going to go on appeal. We're going to hear that
Whatever
now.
it is, I'm just saying
Well-
people who think that the fact that something happened in a court means that it's,
Right.
you know, they've obviously never been in court.
Right. Well, and even even our not nemesis, but somebody I have zero respect for, Mitch McConnell. Even he said this is going to be overturned on appeal. He said it publicly.
It's not going to happen. Let me explain. That's what people say because they think the process is going to work.
Right.
And I haven't been saying this because I thought there was a 51% likelihood of a hung jury. And when that didn't happen, I was not at all surprised.
Right.
Because something that I haven't heard enough people talking about is the fact that we had 2 lawyers on
Right.
that jury. And I've been to jury duty, I think, 5 times.
That's amazing.
Whenever a lawyer says, I'm an attorney, they say, anybody
bounce
here
them
an
out, yeah.
attorney, and they just get up and leave. To the extent that I had presumed it was a professional courtesy that you're just not going to have a lawyer on a jury, which actually makes sense if you want
Right.
truly nonpartisan lay people who don't have, it's like inviting a magician to the magic show
Right.
and telling him not to tell everybody how the tricks are done.
Right.
Why do we even have that guy there? But we had 2 lawyers, so were they, running the jury room? Were they convincing these other people that you got to do this and blah, blah, blah? I don't know. But it's the whole process from start to
Rigged.
finish. To say rigged doesn't provide enough color. So I've said this a million times. It's like going to the doctor and they tell you you're sick. But I want to talk about the ways that it's rigged. And it's got to do with like what we're saying. How did these lawyers get in there? So people say, oh, well, the defense was part of the selection process as well. But we don't know what that selection process entailed. And somebody said there was some sort of point system, like if you have 10 points and I have 10 points,
Right.
and you get 10 of those points, every time you reject one of my selected jurors, you use up a point.
Right.
Can I stack the selection pool such that I know you're going to run out of points, and then I'm going to put all the people
Right.
I really
Of
want
course you can.
at the end of that? Because I have a little bit of insight here, Charles. I was on jury duty that day that I yelled at George Conway. I was on jury duty, and
I'm just checking for possible Antifa thugs.
I was on jury duty, and they said we have a special procedure today where everybody, this was new that day, and everybody got a number, and it gummed up the whole thing.
Right.
Like each room, they were like, oh, well, these numbers, because they said they didn't want to use people's names. Everyone was being assigned a number. And I suppose that was to protect your identity in the event that you got selected for the Trump jury, and
Right.
presuming that there were people in there who might be journalists or whatever, and if they know, they can do some deductive process or whatever.
Right.
So that means that they looked at everybody, including me. What was the process there? Because I got dismissed very early. Usually when I'm on jury duty, it's a few days, and they tell you come back tomorrow, come back the next day. and then you usually get selected. This was less than a day, and then I was just dismissed.
Right.
So I just, when people say, oh, well, the defense participated, that's like the magician holding up the pane of glass and tapping on the front of it before he, passes a balloon through it or something. Obviously, there's some trick to demonstrating that the thing is solid when it isn't.
All right. I would call Antifa there.
Well, it looks more like Hamas with the hat.
Yeah, let's stay away from that one.
Yeah,
But I think we've got a good, I feel we've got a good spot here.
I feel fine.
Yeah.
I just object to these people who are obviously paid to be here. They're paid to destroy the country.
Right.
And now someone will get upset that I said something rude. But again, why are you not allowed to say rude things? The First Amendment doesn't, there's no law that you have to be polite.
Well, I'd say lying to the country with using
Worse than
taxpayer
rude.
funds is much worse than being
Exactly.
rude. The thing that I would like to comment on here or interject is that you and I are operating decidedly and on purpose outside of the established corporate-owned media system. Inside that system, which is, I would argue, 99% pro-schmuck,
Exactly.
and there's your naked cowboy over there. Inside that system, they know who the guests are on all the shows. They know what the editorials are going to be well before they're printed. They know what the database results are going to be on key economic indicators. So they have a major league leg up, multiple legs up in shaping the narrative. And so I don't know if you saw the New York Times today. It's guilty
I did see
on
that.
all 34 counts without explaining.
Right. That's
Now-
what they wanted.
Right.
And they're going to, everyone's like, oh, there's no way they're going to seek incarceration. They are absolutely going to seek
Oh, yeah.
incarceration, and I think they're going to put him in jail.
Hope not.
I hope not too, but this is exactly what they want, so that they can just go up there. This is what they always want. They need 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
And they're thinking 52% of people will
Right.
be able to put that math together. Once you go beyond that degree of complexity,
Right.
you've lost everybody. So they want guilty in big type on the cover of the newspaper and lots of pictures of him in orange in the jail.
And the whole summer.
All
with-
summer, just pound that.
And the thing to really remember, we're seeing more and more signs that the poll results that are discussed today, John Solomon has a piece, are national polls. So those national polls give the same weight to a voter in Wyoming as a voter here in New York. And you can't do that. We've got major
They
shifts.
should skew it based on the electoral
They
college.
try to do that only after Labor Day. They try to do it. But the first issue is getting, and they use likely voters after Labor Day. Now they don't screen for that. So you can have somebody who's got a strong opinion but it's not going to vote.
Exactly.
So you got to do likely voters by electoral college state, and then you've got to think through what percentage will be independent, what percentage will be Democrat, what percentage will be Republican, what percentage will be of the Democrats.
Well, Trump's taking those regulations.
Yeah. At least it's warm.
Not really. I'm kind of cold. I don't understand how that guy.
It's called alcohol. Yeah. But so to really come up with a poll that reflects underlying reality, recognizing that now people watching this result
It's
are
getting
going to.
so crowded.
Yeah, but are you okay?
I'm good. Yeah. People watching the result.
Are going to say, I'm not going to answer a poll to a stranger.
Right.
I'm not going to tell I really think.
Many people
Right.
email me and say, "Don't mention my name. I work at this thing. I work at that thing."
Right. So the polls are really undercounting the likely
Yes.
outcome here. And as you say, the big issue is if they can get him into jail and then have something like, I don't think they necessarily try to kill him, but have some kind of medical emergency in jail.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, see, people. I've been saying this for 7 years, and starting yesterday, I think everyone started to get a little bit of a sense of how I'm feeling. It was like, oh, Jason's really angry. It's like, all right, why don't you try losing all your money and have some fucking maniacs stalk, harass you, harass my parents. I mean, my parents are old. This stress, I really think George's brother should be charged with attempted murder, put on trial, put in jail for the rest of his life. There's not a punishment harsh enough for him and all of these other assholes who are destroying so many people's lives. They are literally psychopaths. Even that woman there with the idiotic signs. They do not care what kind of damage
She's
they
probably
do.
being paid.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things you could pay people for, but only the unscrupulous will do anything for money, and that's who they're getting. Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels. I mean, these people who themselves are prostitutes and liars and drug addicts. They're the heroes. George Floyd, Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen. These are the most reprehensible individuals among us.
Right. Exactly.
And the guy who's building buildings, creating jobs, stabilizing the economy, creating peace deals in the Middle East, and they don't like that.
Of course not, because they're afraid. I mean, you go back, I think, to just be a little bit critical of Trump, the one thing that he did that is, the single thing that he did that I think has him in the place where he is now that he should not have done is failure to prosecute not just the Clinton Foundation, but all crooked charities. There are too many crooked charities still out there that are used as conduits to purchase influence from the politicians.
You had a point about SBF versus
Right.
what?
Well, Scam Bankman-Fried. That guy was on the cover of Fortune magazine as in theory, he being a more consequential businessman than Warren Buffett, the next Warren Buffett.
Oh my God!
And at the peak, before he was found out, it was a gigantic Ponzi scheme and fraud. And while he's in prison, and maybe some of his associates will go to prison, the people who benefited from getting that cash, specifically Hillary Clinton, the Democratic campaign, others who were promoting efforts to get Trump kicked out of office in 2020. Jesus Christ. All of those people still have the money.
Right.
And have not yet been prosecuted. Don't tell me that the Clinton team, with more than 2 decades of charity fraud under their belts, that they didn't understand Scam Bankman-Fried.
I'm sure they set that up.
Mark Elias was centrally involved in all that.
Right.
Right? And so people like that are going from strength to strength. Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, Barack Obama,
Ben Whitty's.
Thankfully, though, actually...
Michael Cohen, he was all over MSNBC last night. That guy is so stupid. The other question we need to have answered is how, when, and why did Donald Trump hire that guy?
Right. Exactly, and why did he keep him so long? And how many other assholes are in the Trump organization now? Would be another, and Trump campaign.
Well, you've been involved in much larger companies than I have.
I don't like that. This one I don't like either. The skateboard. That's the Antifa.
Oh my gosh.
Watch your backs.
This is not a fun job for
Watch
this guy
yourself.
right now.
Watch yourself. Heads up. Look out.
This is a circus.
Oh yeah. That it is.
So the amount of cash that washed in 2022 and is washing in 2024 certainly influenced the election and is influencing the election. Now, I didn't see. There was talk that Biden was going to speak yesterday,
I think
and he didn't. I don't
that
think.
was wise.
Very wise, but
Because that would be like exactly what that woman was doing, just gloating.
Right.
It's like, fine, you cheated, you won by cheating, you know.
Well, and don't forget, his son is facing 2 federal trials.
Right, so he doesn't want to dig in too hard on the criminal justice system works
And the House.
until he knows what happens there.
And the House is investigating, multiple House committees are investigating the family, as they should.
Somebody was saying maybe J.D. Vance wants to subpoena the judge. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah,
We
I
need
do
to
too.
have an impeachment
Right.
for him,
Multiple impeachments.
Valerie Caproni, Burl Howell.
Multiple impeachments.
They got places to go. They got work.
I don't think that guy's parents, the Naked Cowboy's parents, had that future for him in mind
Who
when
knows?
he was 2. This guy, I don't wonder about this guy. Trump had, but
Well, it's funny because I've
he's
I've
just
noticed,
left a black bag here.
Yeah,
It's good.
I've noticed that a lot of these Hasidic Jewish guys which that guy appears to be based on the payas, they just put on a hat and they think that nobody notices that, but people who hate Hasidic Jewish guys are going to recognize that.
Who's that?
I don't know, I guess somebody who recognized that. But a lot of...
Is that your bag? Yeah, you're watching it? Convict, what is that? Convict, lock him up.
Place where we can just put this bag.
No, I don't.
Like a safe place or storage or something.
I don't actually.
No?
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Good luck.
That's a strange question. This is the middle of New York City. What do you think? Yeah, we're running a storage locker right down the street.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
Yeah, of course.
Guys from out of town.
Out of the country, probably.
So I had an opportunity to briefly speak with Robert Costello.
Yeah, I saw that. That's great.
So he confirmed that he did not see a search warrant for Michael Cohen's premises, but he said he would not expect to see that. Even if he had represented Michael Cohen, you would not see the search warrant.
Right.
But he said that there's no doubt that the FBI searched his premises. Now, I don't know how he determined that there was no doubt. Maybe he made that determination because he spoke with the FBI. But again, if the presumption is that the FBI, through Andrew Weissman and others, James Comey, who's directly emailing with Ben Wittes, of course, they might have said, all right, Michael, go tell him that you did this or whatever, and the FBI agents are in on the lie. That's the thing, that email. So let me just take people back into this, because I think for a long, long time, people thought like, oh, Jason's just making this about him. And I'm not doing that. I'm trying to explain how I know these things about the people that I've been walking up to on the street and seem to have this deep background on people that how the hell did you even recognize that person?
Right.
And the answer is because they've been doing this to me for 7 years.
Right.
Because the first day that you and I met, you received a phone call from Shane Harris. Shane Harris is
okay?
I'm okay.
He was yelling at you.
What did he say?
I don't know. I went around the corner at high speed.
Shane Harris is a Wall Street Journal
Scumbag.
but he's directly referenced in this email. How you doing? So you got in a little bit of trouble for throwing blue paint on a Black Lives Matter mural on the ground over here a couple of years ago, right?
Yes.
Whatever happened with that? Anything?
Oh, so the district attorney declined to prosecute.
That's good.
Yeah.
He can't be bothered actually doing anything except going after Trump, right?
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't prosecute you.
That's true. Like, during that time, BLM and Antifa was burning down the city.
They got $13 million. Did you know that?
And they don't get arrested. They don't go to jail.
They got paid.
They don't go to jail. They don't do anything. But, Trump, they're going to go after Trump.
You know, so I think a lot of black people have been sending me messages saying, you see, white people are now just catching up. We've known this forever, right?
But I don't think it's a race thing.
I
It's
agree.
just
You're either in their club or you're not.
yeah, like you're
Because
proud
look at
to be
Justice Smollett.
American. If you value America, you're like put to the back of the line. So it's like
Oh, here, look,
they
this
think
is
it's gonna
coordinated.
backfire.
Here we go. Here comes the Antifa people. I know they get you
They
upset.
crazy.
Take care.
I'm just going to hold fast to this corner.
Yeah.
So how do they get to do that? Go wrong way up Fifth Avenue
Because the cops want
in
this.
traffic. How do the cops let them do that?
Exactly. They won't let me step
Now,
into
here, let's see what this guy does.
1 foot where they don't want me.
Doesn't do anything.
Because they want the press to have all these pictures. The cops and the press are coordinated.
This will be on the cover of Wall Street Journal or MSNBC.
Absolutely. That's the picture they want.
Rachel Maddow.
They don't want to show you all these people coming out. But anyway, we were talking about Ben Wittes
What,
and this
Shane Harris?
email. Shane Harris, right. So Shane Harris calls you on the phone before we start this interview that was arranged by George and Trish. Oh wow, look at that.
What?
That construction workers up there is making me feel very uncomfortable. Not that they're gonna do anything, but it just reminds me of the guys, the railroad workers standing on the overpass in Dealey Plaza.
Right.
It's a very dangerous time for everyone right now, Charles.
Well, The first sign of trouble, we go that way.
Exactly. So Shane Harris calls you on the phone. You
Well,
never heard of this guy before?
No, I did hear him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but let's backtrack it a little bit. I actually was in communication with George earlier in the year. About he was in the city, I think. He had a son. He claimed at medical school at Columbia.
In May or so, that would have been.
No, it was before that.
Oh, really?
And we were going to get together before that. I had noticed him, what he was doing, and some of the stuff made sense to me, and I thought he was interesting at the time. Look at all this scrum. And so he then said he couldn't meet then, but let's meet in around the time of the May graduation. So he had knowledge of me for some time, for months.
He was zeroing in on you.
Right. And Shane Harris was incredibly rude. And I'm not bragging or anything, but at the time I interacted with him in June, I had an extensive interaction with the Wall Street Journal at a senior level, the New York Times, on very many issues. And you don't treat people the way he treated me in the first phone call. Beyond that, Peter Smith had talked to me about Shane Harris.
But also, didn't he want like a comment from you and he's just acting like a dick?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he was a total dick. So they had a narrative that they were trying to play out there in 17. And actually, Comey was fired on, I think it was May 7th or 8th, something like that. And Peter Smith died, I think, on the 13th or 14th.
Huh.
And we've been over this timeline many, many times. And here, they're walking these people across the street. Look at this. Walking them across the street.
Who is doing that?
The police are walking those people across the street.
I mean, that's obviously arranged. How could they get a permit if he announced this yesterday?
Right.
How did they do that so quickly?
Right. And why are they protected, and why are... And talking about crowd size, that's a tiny crowd, probably of paid people. And you look up this way.
Yeah, the cops are paying no attention. May 9th, it says, Trump fires
May 9th, and I think...
5 days later.
Smith, I think Smith was dead on Sunday morning, I think,
But
that week.
I do believe he killed himself.
I just don't know. I have my doubts. As I said publicly, it was printed at the time, I just think that I have, sadly, not personally, I'm not depressed, but I have experience. Clarissa was clinically depressed, my ex-wife. So I have bitter experience dealing with people who are, deeply ill mentally. And while look at this. Look at this. This is this totally staged thing.
Yep. In the middle of the street there.
Totally staged.
Unbelievable.
Then they're going to say, oh, the crowd.
See, that's why I was screaming at that woman. People will say, oh, don't be rude. I'm doing these things for a certain reason.
Now, this will be all over Newsweek, Forbes, Fortune,
Exactly.
CNBC.
And people who aren't here think, oh, this is what's really going on.
And so turning now, we're almost to 11, I think, and turning to what I hope Trump says is that they're going to try to warp whatever he says into a call for revolution.
That's already happening.
Yeah, and I hope
Fake comments being posted saying we need a civil war and this and that, which
some
we don't
beautiful,
want.
model types. We want to be models, but I sincerely hope that what Trump says is May 31st. We have 5 full months and 5 days before the election. That's a lot of time for the American people. Now look at these guys. Now they're being pushed over here. It's a lot of time for the American people to grow to understand what truly is happening here. That the deep state never accepted the election of 2016. And this is what is happening to me. Not bragging. Trump's a billionaire. He should say, I'm still a billionaire. They could do this to me. Imagine what they could do to the
Elon
weak.
Musk said that.
Did you say that as well?
That they could do it to anyone.
Right.
And now everyone's like, oh, he's a right-wing oligarch.
And these people are trying to now instigate, so we should not say
I'm not going to say anything.
but they're trying to provoke a fight.
Of course they are. That's what they're doing every day. And the police want to arrest me.
Right.
I know a lot of people think what I'm doing seems like, oh, he's losing his temper and he's losing his cool. It's thoughtfully calculated.
Right. Yeah, just have to hold that sign up. Justice matters. Obviously, English is not our first language. I mean, there is no justice here.
Correct. That's what's disgusting. is
It's
that
like
these
talk
people-
times up. I mean, these have been thought through.
Here's this same bearded lady who's been
Let's
at
leave her alone.
every damn event.
Which lady?
This lady right here with the short haircut, this bearded freak show wonder of the world, literally has a 5 o'clock shadow.
So they get to do this. Please protect them.
Yeah, the police were protecting them in Collect Pond Park. They're protecting them here.
Now look over here, though. You got this. If you can see it, I don't know if you can get the camera on it, but there's a gigantic set of Trump flags in front of Trump Tower on this side.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
street. You know, it's a massive crowd. Here you have just a tiny bunch of paid.
Paid morons.
Who's yelling? Stay over here.
So Shane
Let's go,
Harris
Brandon.
he's rude. Yeah, that's funny.
34 down.
Oh fuck!
Okay, well,
So I'm restraining myself.
No, I hear you.
And all of these guys are right behind us.
With the masks.
In the Karen corner. In the Karen corner. Not the Amen corner, Karen corner.
Where are the Proud Boys when you need them, Charles? I guess
But
they're
so-
all in jail for January 6th.
So, you know, but back what I was saying, I do hope Trump exhorts his supporters and people who didn't vote for him in 2016 and 2020 to say, listen, did you really want World War III?
Right.
Do you really want
Who is for this?
the economy? What does this sound like?
Oh, that's that stupid lady who was fighting with Laura in the park. Yeah, that's the lady who was fighting with Laura who first introduced me to the fact that you got to stay on the south side of the park. Only the rudest, most selfish people light cigarettes in a crowd like this.
It's probably from France.
Here comes this fucking lunatic.
Blick art. Ah, helicopters.
What is that going to do? I mean, this is such a tight area here. If anything begins to happen,
Well, I think they may be worried about bands of protesters coming here.
that's what's just happened.
Well, I'm talking about, you know, like the big bands that we'll see down in Washington Square Park today at 5.
Yeah.
The Palestinian types.
Is that? Of course, they're all coordinated. They're on a team. So just getting back onto what's going on there with Shane Harris. So he calls you on June 30th after George has been pursuing you for months that I didn't even know about. He meets me, and I've got this multi-camera setup that elevates his video production. So he's like, this is great. This fits right into my plan to try to nail Charles with this whole nonsense scheme cooked up by Benjamin Wittes and James Comey to try to foist these stolen emails on Charles, which obviously Charles is not interested in, but this is their stupid plan.
Right.
And Peter Smith sends you a couple of emails trying to get you excited.
Everybody's got to go. Come on.
All right, let's go this way. Where do you want to go? It's closing the sidewalk.
But we're already on it. Let's not leave unless he tells us to leave. He's talking to the protesters. See, and this is also a disingenuous sign. It says a bunch of regular New Yorkers
They did not.
convicted him, but we actually don't know how those lawyers got on there, and I don't think that you can fairly say that that was a regular jury. Charles, so many lawyers, paralegals, court reporters have been telling me that they get kicked off of jury duty.
Right, but 90%, 94% of Manhattan voted for Biden. So, you know, the jury pool is certainly not representative of his peers, right? These are
I could even accept that if we didn't have these obviously crooked lawyers on. I want to know how that happened. That is such an anomaly
right.
to have even one. And now they have two.
right.
And did the people in the jury understand that these people were lawyers?
I don't know.
Because I think whenever you're in a situation where you feel like somebody else knows more about it than you do, you're going to defer to them for advice. So just back on the Shane Harris phone call, he calls you up and he's asking you about this document.
Right.
And what does he say about that?
Well, he said, I have this private placement document that, and I said, really? What's its title? And he gives me this title. And I said, that's not a private placement. Well,
Demonstrative
it's not
Pedagogical Summary, but that was the title, right?
Ridiculous.
A Demonstrative Pedagogical Summary.
Look at this guy here, dressed in black. That is not a true private placement document, but he was trying to, and I'm mentioned in that document.
Yes, we have a copy of that document now.
I don't know that we have the full copy.
Not the full document, but I got a pretty decimated copy.
Right.
And it does have your name in it.
And he said, I'm running with a story that you and a bunch of other pro-Trump partisans were trying to get Hillary Clinton's emails. And it's going out imminently. Do you have any comment? And I said, no, that's bullshit. It's total bullshit.
And he didn't take that. That is a comment, but he didn't mention that.
No, and he just ran with his story.
But he didn't mention that you denied involvement.
Right. And it's not fair to give somebody, to ask somebody to comment on short notice. Now, mind you, he was then, I think, at the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
And he was on, it's just a Fox, it was then in 2017, a Fox-controlled entity, and it would be normal for reporters, although they do go on MSNBC, it would be normal for them to go onto a Fox channel at night. So he was scheduled that night to be
he went on MSNBC.
With Rachel Maddow. So that was, I know from experience that those type of decisions are made right around after 10 o'clock in the morning. Typically there's a 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning producers meeting across these big platforms, and they try to figure out what are the stories they want to push, what are they concerned about, and then they talk about different blocks in the news hour, A block, B block, C block, etc., and they slot you into those blocks. So
it's all very carefully planned.
So somebody at MSNBC had been in touch with somebody at the Wall Street Journal about whatever Shane had to say, and then later on, Shane ran with a piece. I forget if by then he'd switched to the Washington Post, but he ran with a piece about Peter Smith's death after that.
Dude, damn it. Sorry, hang on.
That's all right. I'm just trying to see what's going on here.
We just went to black for a second. So this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to show everybody this email, because this is the email from Ben Wittes to James Comey. And Charles, this email is sent December 28th, 2016, 6 months before Shane Harris will call you to discuss this. But he's saying, hey there, I'm writing because a very strange document has come across my desk that may or may not have implications for the investigations you are conducting. Under normal circumstances, I would simply assume that the document is either a fraud. I mean, this is such a wordy, this is something that he wants people to see. Right. And he's explaining that it was given to him by Shane Harris. What do you got?
Yeah.
He's explaining that it was given to him by Shane Harris, private British intelligence firm. And what's also interesting is, later that same day, on June 30th, Matt Tate, proprietor of Capital Alpha Security, a £1 private British cybersecurity and intelligence firm. Right. And he writes an article called "That Time I Almost Got Recruited by the Russians," and it's an incredibly lengthy piece. It was like 8,000 words.
Was it really?
And he puts it out something like an hour and 15 minutes after Shane Harris's article. And he's saying, oh my God, this is amazing. I read the article in the Wall Street Journal and I realized it was all about me. Right. Really? So how did you write this super lengthy, edited, spell-checked, no errors in it? Right. How did you write this whole huge thing in an hour and 15 minutes? And then Shane does some shenanigans with unpublishing the article and republishing the article and all that kind of thing.
Got cat hair all over him.
This guy?
T-shirts.
Yeah.
Funny. $25, that's fair. And also, again, everything is not about me, but I started appearing in Russian media in May of 2016. The Freedom Chariot. And certainly by 7 months later, I had quite a few articles in Sputnik, a lot of appearances in RT and other television, all hammering on the Clinton Foundation and this corruption and the wrong direction that Clinton would take the country, and suggestions for how Trump could take the country to tamp down the tension with Russia and get this country moving on the right track again. So certainly, I would guess, well before December 28th, 2016, I went up on the radar screen of political operatives in the Hillary Clinton campaign. And I'd love to understand why, for example, the Podesta emails, which I was talking about almost every day as they came out on various media platforms, why we can't get them. Who made the decision to not deny us? And what is in those emails that's so dangerous to Obama and Hillary and Biden and all these other people? And why is it John Solomon? Why aren't the people who are higher on the food chain of being investigative journalists? Why aren't they pouncing on all this? Who cares?
It's an excellent
about
question, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Ooh,
getting a little
we're
hot.
getting roasted.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. We've got a pretty good shot here. We could.
Well,
tell
let's
me.
see. The sun's. Which direction is it going? It might go behind the Trump Tower in a short while. It is.
But what going back, one thing I was saying that's tough to talk with all the noise is that the deal business, which is enormously lucrative for Manhattan, it used to be printing, they don't print anymore, but all of the high-end restaurants and bars and hotels and there's a tremendous amount of purchasing that happens around deals. That's going to leave the city, and it's not coming back. Well, I mean, it's really going to leave now. JP Morgan is still putting up a gigantic tower, and I question the wisdom of having for a bank to have a world headquarters in a state like New York, in a city like New York, where we see what the DAs and we see what the attorneys general are going to do to you.
It's really bad.
It doesn't make any sense. You want to go to a place where it's pro-market, pro-freedom.
Right.
Roger Stone did nothing wrong. Who's that guy? Roger Stone at this stage is, I think, pretty irrelevant.
I don't know. There was somebody had a video of Roger Stone saying he hated Trump, and he's been hanging out with Flynn a lot.
Yeah.
Flynn continues to be at the center of controversial
I
stuff.
don't think those guys, those are black and white Make America Great hats again. I don't think those were true. Is that your car?
911 Turbo. You definitely do enjoy the 911.
I like the look of it. I've been in those souped up versions of those. Never
they're
driven one.
quite fast.
They accelerate like a motorcycle. Huh. Now, what do we do here? It's sunny over here.
Well, we've got a little bit of shade on this side here, close to the building.
You can step in and get your Mother's Day present.
It's a little
Delayed Mother's Day. When
late
is
for
Mother-
that, yeah.
Your Mother's Day was in May, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so May 30th will live in infamy as
And
the day
31st, too.
that Justice died.
Yeah. Well, and that the city died. I mean, you cannot, talking about that document that there was masquerading as a private placement document, every single securities offering involving a business or a government entity or something that is connected to New York City will have to now have a risk factor section on lawlessness. The laws, as stated, and the precedents as defined in past
nothing.
mean absolutely nothing. And
Anything
there
could happen.
Yeah, there can be no assurance that you will get, if in a conflict, that you
Who
will
would
get.
ever sign that?
Well, I'm just saying you have to write this if you want to raise money, because you have to point out the risks, and that's what people don't get. I mean, when you early on, myself included, I don't. Why are you talk about all this negative stuff? Don't we want to sell something? You have to sell to a sophisticated buyer, which these big purchasers of securities are. They all understand everything has risk. The lottery, winning the lottery has risks. So they expect to see fair disclosure of the risks, and these actions have just gutted any arguments for doing any type of transaction, let alone a leverage transaction where you're borrowing money from a bank to buy a company and putting equity in from funds and stuff like that. I mean, New York City used to be the leveraged buyout capital of the world. It was a place where you could,
All the banks are
all
here?
the banks ready to lend were here. People understood these transactions. They understood how to make it work. There was a lot of domain expertise in the law firms. You're not dealing with a smart lawyer who's never done a leveraged buyout. You're dealing with somebody who's an expert.
But isn't it true at that level of risk, Charles, if something goes 1% one way or the other, it becomes too great a risk? 2-3%.
Yeah, 5.
It's like we could be in a very tight area where this is risky, but you just added that, forget it, I'm out.
Right, and people have choices. You don't need now to come to New York. I was looking, what was I looking at? I was looking at hotel prices in Athens, of all places, and
Greece?
for June and July.
Gotta be expensive.
There's one, the Grand Britain, which is one of the nicest hotels supposedly in Athens, 1,400 euros for one night, not for a suite, just for one night.
Wow.
I ain't paying that.
Let's see what's going on the street here, and then maybe we move around the building because this is just too much of a
We'll go
jam
this way.
here. Yeah.
Regular person going to the Apple store. Thank you.
Let's go this way.
It's a lot of people there,
So you want to
Charles.
get in the shade?
Yes.
There's 2 cops on camera with who? Who's that black guy?
News guy.
You don't have the light, Jason.
Whoops. I didn't even realize cars
why
were
I'm-
driving through here. I
which
thought
is
they
why
had it
I'm over
closed.
here.
I thought they had the street closed and this truck stopped.
Bad in podcast. Started yet? You tell him right now. He's been speaking for 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's all right. People are going to be able to get a good and clear video of Trump on other channels. I mean, once again, I think it's interesting to see the activity outside the event that the news people inside can't
Well,
get.
and look at the throng of people on this side. Many of them are press. But look at this deep throng of people as contrasted to the idiot protesters, paid protesters on 56.
Well, but they position them with the help of the cops right in front of all the big media, so it looks like, oh, everybody's protesting Trump. They don't want you to see two sides of the street jammed, chock-a-block full with people who are pro-Trump.
It's kind of like Joe's event in Pennsylvania. Did you see that?
Right.
That was pathetic. I
They
think
get
if
on a
you and
very
I,
long lens and they just show you a small piece of the crowd.
excuse me, please. Thank
What were you saying? You feel like you and I?
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Good luck today. This is Jason.
Hey.
This guy from NTV.
Ah, nice to see you.
So we'll keep going.
Yep.
That's funny.
It's quite a crowd.
He's a super nice guy. A felon in the White House. You mean Biden?
That guy was in the
There you
park
go.
yesterday. So there's a lot of nice people who are hanging around.
Team Trump captain? What does that mean?
What?
He said Team Trump captain on it.
I don't know, but there was a guy who was, from that team that we just saw with the bearded lady, who was wearing a Make America Great hat and then carrying a sign that said, God strike Trump down.
Right.
Now,
Smite him?
well, but I'm just saying it's fine if you want to protest Trump.
Right.
But when you get involved in deception of why are you wearing the red hat and trying to integrate on the pro-Trump side, if the police really want to kind of mitigate the possibility of some kind of conflict, people like that should be asked to leave. And if they refuse,
Right. Or to put it slightly differently, one of my pet peeves is that if you're in a real contest, a valiant fight now, you could say that people on Trump's side say it's good versus evil and cast Biden as evil. You could say that on the other side they say it's good versus evil and they're the force for good and Trump is the evil guy. We can go through
oh yeah,
here.
let's do that.
They may kick us out for
Well, let's see.
broadcasting.
But this is the rear of the
you
atrium,
should,
isn't it?
No, this is not the Trump. This is, I guess you could see into Trump
Yeah.
from there. This guy here, he's on the Biden Council of Economic Advisors. Oh, they're not going to let us out, Jason.
Really?
There, you can't get out that way, so we're going to have to go
I
out
think
that
there,
way.
yeah.
If they don't kick us out. But
So how do people
Oh, yeah.
get into
Can't
the
get in.
Trump? I mean, somebody must be there listening to him speak, right?
yeah, so only people who are vetted.
Oh wow, look.
Yeah.
But we can look through the glass.
They're going to bounce you. That's pretty full. Certainly fuller than Biden's auditorium.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. This is like inside a building, bigger rally than Biden would have in a football stadium.
Where he paid everybody.
Everyone gets a free Jeep at a Biden meeting, and they still don't show up.
Maybe
Well,
let's-
it's pretty interesting, Charles. I think we should head downtown, and then we'll watch what Trump said on a
Sure,
might be like Right Side Broadcasting or something.
you can do that.
But
I think we did our job.
yeah, I just wanted to come up here and sort of take the temperature of the crowd. We saw the same idiots who come to protest every single thing.
Right. So this used to be the IBM building. I don't know if it still is. Used to be extremely expensive office space. And of all things, can you imagine? I love mozzarella cheese, but to have a mozzarella bar? I mean, how could that be making money?
Exactly, that can be laundering money. Maybe coffee. They probably sell coffee.
But it's a mozzarella bar.
Lunchtime.
How much is mozzarella?
They got wine.
$18 for mozzarella? Prosciutto?
Yeah, they got wine. That's where they're making money. It's booze and snacks.
Uh-huh.
People love snacks
They do.
and booze.
Bite size.
Well,
Well, they really blocked it off. I say we go to the shade wherever we can.
yeah, let's
Find
just
that.
head down and find the shady sides of the street.
We could go by. There was an altercation in front of the Roosevelt Hotel.
The other day, yeah,
Yeah.
somebody stabbed somebody or something.
Yeah, McDonald's in Times Square.
Machete.
Machete.
I mean, what the hell is going on? So we have all these police resources,
You reap what you sow.
right, messing around in the park, and
Maybe
no
we
one.
go on that side.
We got some good shade here, I
Right.
think. We got nobody paying any attention to the actual crimes.
Of course not. I mean, and this idiot 39-year-old mayor in Boston saying they're
Oh, yeah.
they're going to decriminalize all kinds of things. So,
Why?
well, you got to have more. I mean, we've got all these illegal criminals coming in from south of the border. You got to get them work.
She's just giving out a list of like, here are the crimes for you to go start doing ad nauseum. If you
She's
know,
a moron.
if you know that grand larceny isn't going to be prosecuted, why not just steal everything?
Yeah.
I mean, how will they? This is just directly going to end retail. Who would want to have a store when they know that anybody can come in? Your employees are at risk if they try to defend themselves or the products. The
And-
cops aren't going to do a thing.
And how is that? How is that consistent with your oath of office?
Exactly, it's not. But I mean, a lot of people I think were surprised, like Jonathan Turley and all these people are saying, oh, he's not going to be incarcerated. I disagree. They are going to absolutely try to do that because that's what lawfare is.
Well, we'll see how the polling looks.
But it's a slow murder. They're not doing this to antagonize the target.
Right.
George's brother is not going to be like, I've annoyed him enough. They want to end my ability to conduct business, take away all my money, cause me to lose my home, and put me in the most destitute situation I could possibly be in. And if I die or get arrested or somebody beats me up in the course of that happening because they've had constant pressure on me for 7 years, that's exactly what they're trying to provoke.
Right, but
So for people who think this is some kind of game, and this is why I get so angry at the morons who like make jokes about, oh, you and George Webb are like, quarreling married couple. It's just not funny.
Right.
I mean, I want to see how people feel when they're 80-year-old parents who are, I mean, he's harassing my mother while I'm helping her recover from spinal surgery. What kind of a sick, twisted person does that?
Right, the swagger. But I think the one area where I slightly disagree with you on this is that I think the polling judging by the fundraising reaction and the polling, we haven't seen a poll yet, a real good poll. I think that this is backfiring spectacularly.
I agree.
And so I don't know, they may have thought they could put him in a New York City prison, but
Well, I don't know. Backfiring, I don't think obviates they're just going to dig in. That's what they always do.
Right.
They are a one-trick pony, and when the trick isn't working, they just bring out the pony again and keep doing it. So I think they will.
well, we'll see. Have they said that Biden's not going to debate now that Trump is a felon?
They haven't said that yet, but if he's in jail, that's exactly it. Is that he said, "Oh, I'm willing to debate," but the guy's in jail, or they'll go have the debate in jail,
Well, he
or
won't
have
be in
Trump
jail
on the
until the
phone
11th,
through the
the
glass for the debate.
The debate is set for the 27th. So
True, and
June.
he's not getting
He's not gonna go to-
sentenced until July 11th.
Right. So unless they can find some way to say he violated the gag order, and for that reason, or some pretext, but people see this mess for what it is. I mean, even not people who have poured over this the way you and I have for 7-8 years. People who are not particularly interested in politics understand that this is not fair play. Let's just go over here.
Yeah, normal people do.
Right, and they're saying, you know, wait a minute, let's have a real Biden is not campaigning.
Yeah.
He didn't campaign in 2020. The statistics that everyone's touting are all bullshit. Everything that they said was real is false about COVID, about the Russian delusion, about, you know.
No,
basically-
they still think that's true.
Well, I'm saying.
They're
that-
saying they've finally proven that Trump broke the law to win the 2016 election. That's their play.
I'm saying that my they is the American people see through this, and you know you see this, I think, in the fundraising for Trump versus Biden. You see it in the poll numbers and approval ratings for media. You see it in declining applications for academia. People are sick of this bullshit. This
Yeah.
is not success. Here's your hat.
I missed it.
Right? This is not Bidenomics is a joke, a very bad disaster of a joke.
Unfunny joke.
Yeah, exactly. It's Hillary Clinton telling a joke. So actually, we are seeing more open stores than I remember.
The Rolex store is still open.
That said-
doesn't. Yeah.
I say that, and then we walk by shuttered store
Right.
after shuttered store.
Yeah.
Newhouse, is that open? Coffee shop, like a chocolate shop? It doesn't look terribly open. No, it's for lease.
Yeah. I mean, this is just devastation.
And it's going to get much worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I would look for one of the big investment/commercial banks to pull out of New York.
And then what happens?
Then others will follow. I mean, they're among the largest. They have among the largest payrolls of any operation in the city, in Manhattan.
Right. So that happens. It's not just the bank leaving, and it's not just the building
the
that
vendors,
they rent, and the vendors to them, but it's every employee who's going
Right.
to move somewhere else, and
Right?
less restaurant activity, less buying of retail goods.
I don't want to make this too graphic, but I could come up with an example, but I'm not going to. There's things that you can't unsee.
Something happened to the sound. It's back.
There's certain things. There's your seersucker suit, Jason.
I don't ever wear a seersucker suit.
Ridiculous. It's like a little boy version, right?
does-
You
it
don't.
does look-
You don't wear. Your jacket should come further down. You know, not that I'm a style expert, but you don't wear brown
I
shoes
don't like
with
the look of
seersucker.
a seersucker suit.
They always look rumpled.
Exactly. Somebody has come out that I see advertised on the internet with some high-tech suit where the lining is like mesh, but it looks like a regular suit, and they're saying for
That's $12,000.
summer and everything. Nah,
There's
I think
another
it's-
vacant store.
But anyway, sorry, you were saying.
So yeah, you can't unsee what these assholes have done, both with E. Jean Carroll and
Right.
with what's her name, Tish James, and now this moron Bragg. You have to assume, as somebody, if you're at the top of the food chain in terms of wealth and income, you have to assume that you are now a target.
Yeah.
To the extent you conduct operations inside the city.
Not just top. Anybody who upsets them. Look at what's happened to me.
Right.
If I hadn't been able to, get it together to do all this pro se defense, I would have been broke and out of this a long time ago.
Right.
no apartment, no money, no ability to get any kind of, if this is what they want to do. And it's just, they don't care who it hurts. I mean, if something horrible had happened as a result of the stress that Swigert was causing to my mother, he'd laugh about that.
I know.
He is a sick fucking son of a bitch.
Not just him.
It's all of them. That's what I'm
Hillary.
saying. Hillary, right. They are psychopaths, and we're being led by psychopaths who make up all these stupid stories, stupid lies. They sit around scheming all day,
Right.
coming up with these complicated plans. And it's,
Is it possible to tell what Trump has said? Is he had any memorable? We could stop it. It's easier for you to.
no, that's fine. Here, we can just look on
Typically,
Twitter.
he would begin with the.
Trump to hold a news conference, this is. DC sources confirm Jim Jordan has been up all night crafting at least a dozen strongly worded tweets. That's funny.
That's great, Jim.
Well, he's joking, I think, but here's Trump's stunning guilty verdict. Breaking: Jim Jordan will be demanding Alvin Bragg and Michael Coangelo appear for a congressional hearing June 13th to testify about political
Right.
prosecution of Trump. Well, okay.
They won't show up.
But even if they do, they're just going to get
They'll
some
lie.
yelling at them and what? Why don't they just say we're going to hold an impeachment hearing for Mershon? What is it? That's what Congress needs to do. If they have the ability to impeach judges, that's what they need to start doing. How does
Right.
that get going? What is the mechanism around that? Why is it so difficult?
Well, the
There
problem
need-
is it's the summer already,
and they don't want to do anything, right? And half of them want Trump gone anyway. But I mean, we need to have this. There's no tension with these judges. They can just do whatever they want. They're literally making up laws. The big problem also that people aren't talking about so much is that they're saying that this alteration of the ledger, recording the payment as a legal expense rather than a payment to a hooker, that becomes a crime if it's done to cover up the election crime or the tax crime or
And
there's
Hillary
one other
did the
crime.
equivalent.
But they haven't told us which one of those. Like he made it so that the jury could be divided on deciding which crime was that enhancement, and we have still not heard what that crime is.
Well, and as I said, I think in the last walkabout, the basic premise of this is anti-American. I mean, what was Trump? What does Trump stand accused? What was he convicted of?
He doesn't even know.
Nobody knows.
Hang on. And then, so the other thing I want to do is to draw parallels so that people can understand that this is not unique, but this is a tactic. So Trump had an election law expert who was his expert
Right.
witness that was going to explain to the jury how they don't even know what they're talking about with this law,
Right.
and it wasn't broken. That was a key witness. Separately, we had the testimony from Robert Costello, who, while it's true, he didn't represent Michael Cohen. He met with Michael Cohen right after Cohen was raided by the FBI, and it was an attorney-client privileged meeting because Cohen was seeking representation and he shared information about his case with Costello. That is why they needed a waiver. If Michael Cohen came and told me all about it, I could tell anybody I want because I'm not an attorney and I'm not bound by attorney-client privilege. But there's a lot of ways that lawfare practitioners mess around with that attorney-client privilege. In fact, it's one of their favorite things to mess around with. Alan Dershowitz, I believe, concocted a scheme within Giuffre v. Dershowitz where I think he did this in coordination with the Boys Schiller Flexner people, because what he did was he contacted the Boston office of Boys Schiller Flexner on a Friday saying, hey, I need representation in this Giuffre case. And the Boston guy said, okay, let me look through it. And then on Monday, he got back to Dersh and he said, I spoke with the conflict department and we can't take your case. We have a conflict of interest. So on the basis of that guy having had the documents for a weekend, Dershowitz was moving in court to disqualify the entire Boys Schiller Flexner law firm, and it worked. Now again, I don't think that that was a real lawsuit. I think that that lawsuit was put together to get certain elements of evidence into the public or out of the public or whatever, and to also get a lot of money because she was a sympathetic figure. She wrote a book. She had a fundraising thing for like $500,000. That money went to Boys, Schiller, Flexner. Dershowitz wrote a book called Guilt by Accusation. So they're all making money from these cases. And I mean, they're lawyers, so it's like me making a 3D movie or a video and making money from it. This is just what they do. They're ginning up lawsuits, and they just love to mess around with every single aspect of everything. And here we are as the lay people in the public. We don't even know any of this stuff, and by the time anybody figures it out, it's over, it's too late. And all these lawyers who are saying, oh, we're gonna have a hung jury, I didn't want to say it before the verdict came down because I didn't want to be negative, and I don't want people to watch this show and feel worse about what is already terrible. But I was very confident that he would be convicted, particularly when I heard about these two lawyers on the jury and understood how unusual that was. I hadn't even begun to ask the public, people on Twitter, but that just has confirmed even more how unusual it is. And I'm confident that they're going to stick Trump in jail, knowing that he won't be able to deal with it for however many months or however many years the appeal process takes. And if they have him in jail, they just want the picture of him, getting arraigned, getting stuck in jail, wearing the orange outfit, talking through the glass, whatever it is. Debase him.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
I think you're right, but they're going to try it. See, that's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that they try that doesn't work. They tried to get Peter Smith to give you emails. That didn't work. They tried to jam up Costello. That didn't work. And he agreed with my assessment that it seems plausible that they were trying to jam him up to get to Rudy and jam him up. Or at least that was the impression that I got in our phone conversation. I'm hopeful we can get him as a interview subject, but he's quite busy. And I don't know that he's really interested in media attention per se. I think he's not. But he seems an extremely honest man and a tough, smart attorney.
It's good.
My impression of him.
Yeah.
Now, so it looks like the motorcycles have been mostly taken away there.
Not much action.
No.
Get another lozenge here.
But you got Amazon doing their thing. Right?
Yeah. Lozenge. Everything. Look at this, is ridiculous. This is actually FedEx.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess they see Amazon
You shouldn't
doing
be
it.
allowed to do this.
Of course not. They're just using the street as a warehouse. But I mean, think about that. That's got to be reducing their overhead, right? If you can, do this sort
It's ridiculous.
over here.
But it's a mess. I don't want to walk through it. I don't want to live in a warehouse, an outdoor warehouse.
Oh, it's taking away parking. It's
Amazing.
so many things going on right now. Oh, Charles, look, there's a good suit for you.
I already have one.
If you're gonna go to Vegas and become a lounge singer,
Oh,
oh,
man.
even better.
Yeah, I love the shoes.
That's probably $5,000 or something ridiculous.
Men's Warehouse is actually cheap.
Oh, is this Men's Warehouse?
But the next one here, Paul Stewart, is expensive.
Here's Amazon.
This is silly. These clothes. And here's Amazon.
Yeah, you got like 5 guys vaping and 3 people unloading the truck.
Outrageous.
So, I'm trying to think about some of the other things that people were saying.
Phineas Cole. What is this? These are men's clothes. Look at this. You gotta be kidding me. You look good in lavender.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
probably, but
all the Lawfare people, here's Noah Bookbender. What we saw in New York over the past weeks and months is actually a demonstration of the fairness and resilience. the fact that they have 55 pages or 52 pages of jury instructions that they can't print out. Why? What is the reason for not printing it out and giving it to the jury, other than to make it more difficult for them to understand, more difficult for them to... Why wouldn't they want this to be as devoid of defects as they could possibly make it, so that no one could criticize it in the way they are now?
Because they can't win fairly.
Right.
There's more space available.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people are calling for RFK to drop out and endorse Trump. I think that would be a smart thing for him to do, but he's not going to do it. And I think he would be better suited to being the Attorney General than the President. Because then his ideas would somehow be
Make
part...
him head of the EPA. I wouldn't put him as Attorney General.
Why not?
Because he's an economic moron. I mean, he does.
But what does that have to do with the Attorney General? His father was a great Attorney General, wasn't he? He prosecuted all
for
the
a short time.
mafia guys.
But I mean, his shtick. I think the Attorney General. We saw what happened when you have a Bill Barr, and before that a Sessions. The most important pick that Trump can make is not the Vice President, but the Attorney General. And I don't trust Robert Kennedy's instincts on many important issues.
Fair point. I agree with that, actually. Okay, so who do you think he should have as the Attorney General?
I put him in as head of the
Michael
EPA.
Cohen?
Yeah, right.
Oh, wow, look at that shot, Charles.
What?
Boom. Chrysler Building.
That's not the price. Oh, that. Yeah.
Oh, that whole
with
thing?
the light. The light on the top there. See on the two corners there? Sunlight.
I think you're getting that from where you are. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I love the Chrysler Building. I've been in there, but never into the
I've been there.
top part.
Yeah.
What's in there?
Where I was, just offices. No.
Yeah, we know. You don't have to give us a hand signal or honk. You angry-faced taxi driver. That's quite a crew.
Oh, Tatiana's eyelashes there.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're headed to the very expensive interior design portion of New York City, but still, everything's out.
Oh, yeah. So Eric Adams came out and said that they're preparing Rikers Island for Trump. So I'm telling you, they should, but that's just it. All of these people should be in jail, and they're just gloating. And by the way, again, the pattern, it's the same exact thing that George's idiotic brother and all of their stupid people do. They've established their sort of base hoax allegation. With Trump, it's Russia hacked. With me, it's the Port of Charleston. But even now, he's entering documents, he's writing letters to people saying, Jason planned a bomb hoax, when obviously they did. I mean, there's evidence right there where George is on the phone for 2.5 hours explaining to me how Jason, you better go call the Coast Guard. George, why are you talking to me? Why don't you call the Coast Guard? That was my thought. I guess these guys are really used to dealing with extremely stupid people. And you know what? I noticed something else. He used to constantly do things to test my susceptibility to suggestion. And this is why I always get so angry when people are like, you really should be investigating this or that or the other thing, or send this to Charles and have him investigate this other thing. I mean, I'm not a wedding DJ here to take requests from people.
You're not?
And the point is, people who get it, when I'm talking about Felix Sater and somebody sends me a New York Times article about Felix Sater that tells me something that I don't know about, oh my God, wasn't this Zero Halliburton or
It
something?
was, and Halliburton's a big company.
Holy cow. That's also been there since I was in college.
Not anymore.
Wow. Wow.
Nice garbage.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful day, I have to say, other than it marking... Well, the day after 9/11 was a beautiful day, too.
The day of was nice weather as well. So what he would try to do is test me to see how susceptible I was to suggestion.
Right.
And what I was doing at that time is when people would call in, and I mean, I was so naive that I was like inviting people to call in and get a secret code name and be a confidential crowdsource, you know, whatever, and give people names. And what George would always do is he would change the name. And I'm like, Dick, why are you doing that? You're just making this more confusing. And I would, like, you know, passively resist it.
Right.
But it just created all this confusion. I don't know if they had a reason other than just wanting to test my susceptibility to suggestion. That guy, Oki Marshall Richards, also would constantly refer to the show as Crowdsource the News. And he's like, why don't you change it to Crowdsource the News? And I would think to myself, why don't you fuck yourself and stop saying that? It's called Crowdsource the Truth, and I didn't ask you for your input. So I get really mad when people are who don't know me, and you know they think they're going to tell me what to do. Some dusty old asshole came up to me yesterday. He's like, "Oh, you know, you're really putting out a negative image." I was like, "Good, fuck you."
I don't know.
That was my message to him.
Is it more negative than fuck you?
I'm just saying, I just don't like these people who use polite language while they risk breaking people's ankles while they're riding down the street, or they're, you know, doing horrendous crimes by lying in court. I mean, you know, these lawyers are so polite, and George's brother does it too. You know, when you get him in a conference with a judge, he's like, well, Your Honor, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, he's trying to present himself as this, you know, respectable, articulate, nice guy. Meanwhile, he's sending around letters referring to me as an effing Jew, he's trying to contact the Navy he's alleging that my father was doing a type of surgery that is completely outside his area of practice that he has never done. And then he just states these things as facts, because you see, most people will not come out and just blatantly accuse you of something actionable, but he obviously knows that we're already involved in litigation, and the last thing I want is to be in another 2 or 3 years of litigation with this asshole. So he essentially, until and unless I can get a court to enjoin him or stick him in a concrete box for the rest of his life.
Rope. I don't like the guy walking down the street with rope.
Yeah, I like your spotting of that. You want to make a right?
In the shade there, across the street. Yeah.
But
It's fifth. Yeah, it'll be in the shade.
But this is what they do, you know? They speak politely while they're doing evil. I am just me, so if somebody pisses me off, they're going to hear some foul language.
Right.
And if this old guy in the park doesn't like it, he's free to get out of my face. But if he gets in it, there's going to be
Should we go
more.
here for lunch?
Yeah, the retail wanted.
Literally every block in the center of Manhattan that we're looking at has got major vacancies on key corners.
Yeah. I say we're at pretty close to 50% because we don't know what's going on
Higher
inside
floors,
these
yeah.
offices.
Omar's is really doing well. It's jammed.
But just continuing on my court
Nobody.
rant, well, it is a little early for lunch, but yeah, there should be somebody there. Anybody who is sitting there saying, oh, there's going to be a fair outcome and, you know, juries are the best. They have all these stupid, like, lawyer sayings.
Right.
You know, like a jury is the bedrock of this. Well, obviously that's the first thing they're going to attack. And I would really like to understand what this jury selection process was about, because I already have the fairly unique piece of information that they had created this numbering system that was new that day. So there's something different about how they selected that Trump jury than how they do a normal jury.
Yeah.
And who knows what other little subtle details like that exist.
Oh, Jesus Christ, here's a safe company and somebody fast asleep in front of it.
Is Berkshire Bank related to Berkshire Hathaway?
No. And you can smell the bathroom. Jesus.
Yeah.
Woman's not on Jenny Craig.
That woman was not leaving Just Salad.
Yeah.
So what else is, oh yeah, Hillary Clinton was giving a speech yesterday, and she comes on stage and she goes, oh, so is anything happening?
What an asshole.
That's the thing. She is a total asshole.
And you know, Trump should have the benefit of discovery somehow to understand how Hillary and the various Democrat operatives have been coordinating
They're never
cross
gonna give
state
him
lines, using the electronic media, using telephones to conspire to hobble a leading contender for president of the United States. So I think even in the state that he's in now is better positioned by far than Biden.
The other pattern I wanted to identify for people is, oh look, there's a new comic store. Who would invest in that? We're going to open a comic book store, Charles. The city is in decline. Everybody needs comic books.
They need a laugh.
But the other thing that they like to do is, so Trump had those key witnesses that they would not allow in. And they do that. They block you from entering the evidence that would just be like slam dunk, you won.
Right.
That's exactly what Caproni did with me. Early, before there was even a lawsuit, because I understand what these idiots do so well, I identified that Adam Sharp had been alerted by an email from George's brother. And if I were wrong about that, right or wrong, there should be no issue with subpoenaing that email or just learning the identity of the person who sent it. I requested that the judge do that in camera, meaning just in her chambers, where only the plaintiff, who already knows the identity, and the judge review the identity. And the idea is, if we say, oh yeah, this is owned by stupid Mario Luigi, then we know that Jason is right, that he's been doing that. In addition to, texting Ben Witties when Chris Boozy is in default, and then suddenly Ballard Spahr shows up to represent Chris Boozy. And by the way, that was after 6 months of Chris Boozy mocking the lawsuit, mocking me, destroying all my social media accounts, making clear representations that he was very well aware that the lawsuit existed and was happening. But they said, no, that's all right. He's not in default. He can come in with this, major law firm.
This and this.
You can get with this, or you can get with that.
He's
So
got
you
his
can get
box
with
over there.
this.
He's got his cardboard box over there.
But this is where it's at.
And more
Wow,
cardboard box.
everything on this block is out.
This
of
used to
business.
be, what was it? It wasn't Lord and Taylor. It wasn't Bonwood Teller. Oh, it's down there, actually. It was B. Altman's.
Oh,
This guy is living, somebody's living in there.
but Charles,
It's a nice studio for you, Jason.
But just think about that, Charles. If you've got one or two, or whatever the number is, pieces of key evidence that prove your case unequivocally, blow away the opposition, and the judge knows that, and they block you from entering that, and then they went and sanctioned me. So there's another thing. Trump could have been out saying all this stuff about Mershon's daughter, making money, getting real public attention on serious matters, but they gag him, but not the other side. They did the same thing to me. You're not even allowed to mention this email, so that if you can go find out who it is on your own, we're not going to let you do that.
Well, and you saw that Shifty Schiff is fundraising last night on the conviction, so using Mershon's daughter.
Unbelievable.
Is this place doing well?
Doesn't look like it.
Is it doing better than that place?
I don't know how any of these places stay open, and that guy is certainly interested about being recorded on camera.
Probably the fence. I mean, this used to be 60, 70 years ago, prime real estate. Certainly not prime now.
Yeah, you had CompUSA around here, and
Everywhere you look, there's vacant stores.
it's really bad.
We don't have the light.
A little roasty right here. The other thing is, they're obviously messing with his campaign,
Messing with what?
his ability to campaign.
Right.
It's just this is an affront to every single person in the United States of America. Even if you don't like Trump, you should want a fair match if you have any confidence at all. Should we start heading west?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because it's good. We wouldn't make. I don't want to run.
I hear you.
We can do one or two more and over. On 33rd Street, Jason.
Whatever.
But these people, the only way they can hope to, quote, win is by cheating.
Right.
That's what Hillary Clinton has done her whole life. That's what her husband does all the time. Her, quote, husband.
Right.
Her Hino.
And by the
Husband
way,
in name only.
well, as I was saying with my 80-year-old parents, Trump is 77, and he's tough, but there's no way this hasn't taken a psychological, financial, and physical toll on him.
On his family, too.
On everybody. And you know what? I'd be lying if I said it didn't do anything to me. I was making a lot of money before these assholes got involved and destroyed everything.
Well, and the other thing to consider here is this kind of unnoticed or not suitably noticed. Oh, God almighty. Is this another one of these candy sellers with a kid? It is.
Yeah.
This
She also
idea,
looks like she's about 18.
this idea that the U.S. is giving its approval for various nations that had F-15s and other offensive weapons to send them in
Crazy.
to take out positions inside Russia. I mean,
insanity.
where's the congressional oversight of that?
Well, I think Putin already said that since those things can carry nuclear weapons,
Right.
he considers that a major escalation.
He's right.
He is right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're all on a bus, and these guys would rather crash the bus
Right.
than take their place in the rear and just ride along, even if it's not their
Right.
favorite seat.
Right. And it's the opposite of, the cream rises to the top. We have the turds rising to the top.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of turds and vomit, not curds and whey. Look at that. In the base of Empire State Building,
That used
retail available.
Yeah, that used to be Walgreens. You know what, sir? I've never, ever seen that. Retail available in the Empire State
yeah.
Building. There's somebody, I've seen it closed and being changed over to another thing, but it's like one day.
Right.
They've got a list of people waiting to come in there.
Yeah, I think if you were to look at the action, I think what's going on in the city is that a lot of tenants are not paying rent.
Right.
And we see the vacancies, but we don't see
The
we
legal
can't
process that got there.
Yeah, well, but we can't guess even how many of these different places that seem to be occupied by restaurants and offices are occupied by people who are not paying their rent.
Good point. It's going to be a very hot day, Charles.
Yeah, we're going. It's not. I don't know. Well, yeah. And at 5 o'clock today, there's a pro-Palestine rally in Washington Square Park, according to chalk on the pavement.
All right. Yeah,
Definitely.
good thing nothing crazy will happen at that.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that.
I'm with you.
That's a lovely smell.
It smells like charcoal.
Tweety Street here, Jason. It's your street.
Yeah.
See if there's a 33 West 33rd Street.
I'm sure there is. It's got to be like the Odd Fellows.
And you
or
could be on the
Freemasons.
33rd floor. Actually, I was looking through, there's a book called Mountains of Gold and Something of Grass about this county in Montana that was settled by some of my ancestors in the 1870s and 80s. And it's quite interesting when they talk about the subject of Masons. The knights, a lot of these people, including my ancestors, were involved in multiple Masons, things I'd never heard of. Oddfellows, Knights Templar.
Yeah, see,
It was
a lot of-
common pre-radio.
A lot of people say that the Freemasons, the Knights Templar became the Freemasons.
Yeah, I don't know enough.
And the Knights Templar, they are the Christian knights guarding the temple of King Solomon.
Right.
Charles, how come you didn't get the two-tone Maybach? It's uglier that
In
way.
Istanbul, I rode in a van, a Maybach van.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just shouldn't have, but I didn't understand what I was getting.
Oh, and was it super money to?
It wasn't. It was a lot, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. It's more than a taxi. Let's put it that way.
Right.
We could stop here at Sir John's, Jason. I know you like Guinness at lunch. Oh, it's
Oh
closed.
my God, that's surprising. Can't say any longer. That's the first time I've seen that. But
Yeah, how do you have in Midtown an
Irish
bar?
pub closed. That's crazy.
Now, of course, we could. I know you love Chinese food, so we could also go for some Chinese cuisine over there.
Dumplings. I actually do like dumplings. Those ones want a free Palestine.
Dumb, D-U-M-B, plings.
Yeah.
It must be Dim Sum Alley.
Something like that.
Well, here's another one of these igloo carts.
Yeah.
I want to get the franchise for that. And a little kid, of course, should be in school.
Oh my God. It's so not safe for these kids. And then what's that generation going to be like? Growing up on the street, selling food. What kind of education are they going to have?
This place, I guess, is open. But, yeah, it's just so irresponsible. Now that Biden has 10 million illegals, he's going to act by executive order, he says, to shut the border. Why didn't he do it, a long time ago?
Well, I mean, they want this chaos. They want criminals around. I mean, we've already seen evidence that a police lieutenant agreed with me that there's an uncanny resemblance between the guy that I said was, I showed him a picture of the guy at the pro-Palestine protest who was threatening to poke me in the eye with a stick. The police said that's First Amendment activity.
That's First Amendment?
That's what the police said. I think it's menacing and maybe even assault.
Yeah.
And his photograph matched a guy in the New York Post from that same day or the previous day who they said the police had arrested and identified as a Venezuelan gang member, and the guy definitely spoke with a Spanish accent. When I showed the two photos to the police lieutenant, he said it was an uncanny resemblance, and then he wanted my ID.
Right.
And that sounds like he's like, oh shit, this guy found another one of our undercover people. Let's find out who he is and give him some kind of ticket. Right. Get him back into court.
These are all arguments against being here in New York City.
Well, then George's brother can send that around to everyone and tell them I'm an effing Jew.
Right.
Then the judge who paid Black Lives Matter $13 million for burning down all the police cars can say, that's fine, you are an effing Jew. I don't care that this guy's not in the case and he's disrupting and doing all this stuff. It's just outrageous.
I know.
Oh, and did I tell you that the judge in Swigert v. Goodman is also presiding over the city of Almaty, Kazakhstan versus Felix Sater? I'm sure that's just a coincidence,
Well, what
because the
about-
first judge was Valerie Caproni.
What about Merchant?
Yeah, on every case. Bannon. Fucking asshole.
Idiots.
That's the thing. And we now even have members of Congress saying we need to look into what's going on with the judge selection process in New York. What they should just do is they say, you know what? Every single judge in New York is going to be reviewed by a congressional committee.
Right.
And every one of them is going to come in and we're going to do an audit of the judicial branch. We're going to go over everybody's record, and we're going to allow people who have been before these judges, like I have submitted 2 complaints to the Second Circuit Judicial Review Board or whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
It took them 8 months to even look at it, and they just said, yeah, this is denied. Because it's judges reviewing judges. And what it should be is, when you file a judicial complaint, if you follow the rules, it should automatically invoke a jury to hear your complaint in front of the judge, and you should get a hearing with you and the judge at the other table and a jury there. And if you have a lawyer, your lawyer can speak. If the judge wants a lawyer, they can be represented. But this idea that judges are absolutely untouchable, they have all this discretion to change, to litigate from the bench, change the law, change the rules, and you can't do a damn thing unless you have 2 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a big problem. People who are lawyers and judges think that, oh, there's a reversible error, so it's no problem. It's just going to take 3 years of your life and all of your money in your house to reverse it.
Well, the other thing I would say is that another big problem is that there are too many consequential portions of this country that are 94%, 93% Democrat. So we know that what Weissman said to Corsi was that he was going to be tried in D.C., and they have the upper hand, that the D.C. jury is going to slam
So they know it's unfair.
Right, they know, and they made that argument, according to Corsi, to him. This guy doesn't look terribly safe.
Let's go out wide here. Because I agree. He could throw something, he could spit. People are getting stabbed a lot now.
I know.
There was a video in Germany
Now
of
we
a
can go
guy.
back. Oh no, let's stay on this side. That's too bad.
Video of a guy in Germany
Yeah.
on a mad stabbing spree. And I will say, the German cops just shot him in the leg. Seemed like a
And this
mag
guy?
dump would have been appropriate.
2 people here. It's fucking nuts. A crippled person with like one leg that was badly deformed.
A lot of problems.
Absolutely crazy.
Now wait a minute. What are they? I don't know that I've approached this from this side.
They wanted this to be an office building, but
This looks pretty empty.
yeah, it's going to be some kind of athletic facility, I think.
Send the cops there.
They're inside here. Not here. Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah.
right?
Wouldn't it be funny if there were in fact cops in there?
I think they take them to go and then sit in the car burning gasoline while they eat it.
There's a little girl have tattoos on her inner leg.
I didn't see that. There's a
Oh, yeah,
lot of
fake tattoos.
tourists.
Maybe we go.
Yeah, a lot of tourists around lately, I've noticed.
Watch a once great city fall to the ground.
It's depressing.
Mad Max 2024.
That failed too, Furiosa. They
Yeah.
tried to make a Mad Max movie about,
Biden.
no, Charlize Theron, but they got somebody else to play Charlize Theron, and it's just
People weren't having
failing.
it.
Actually, I was watching a guy analyzing this because he said it's strange. It was critically acclaimed, and this was some, science fiction movie review channel, and he said he thought it was actually good. It's not a bad movie, but he's saying he doesn't consider it a Mad Max movie because there's like Mad Max is like barely in it. And he said that Hollywood has just girl bossed too close to the sun.
Yeah.
I
Need
think
too
it's
many-
a bigger problem than that, though. Too many women as the lead protagonists, but it's a bigger problem than that, I think, Charles, is that for 4 years, so we've got this generation who right now is the prime demographic for movie going, who came up in a world where you couldn't go to the movies and you were watching everything on your iPad and your iPhone, and they might not be that interested in long-form cinematic narratives as they are in these TikTok attention span, kind of little things. And I remember even when I was in Hollywood 15 years ago, I was saying that just movie theaters aren't going to be able to last. I'm surprised they're still here. It's going to be like what happened to record stores. And they're like, no, people love this group experience of going to the movie. I disagree. I think there is a demographic that appreciates that, but it's not.
Watch out for this guy.
Yeah. It's not.
Is that the actual guy? He had the crazy eyes.
What
That guy who was arrested? Serial.
Maybe.
The guy who
Throwing the gasoline at people?
Yeah.
It might have been.
It looked a lot like him because he had the crazy bug eyes.
Same shaped head, too. Hair. Well, Charles, I think people are going to be pleased to have gotten a little bonus Charles. Here's the future of garbage.
Yeah. Nice. Want a Paris baguette?
Nah. I do like them, though. I don't know, it's funny. When you go to Paris and get a sandwich on a baguette, it's like a big, very, very
Gigantic
hard
thing.
piece of bread,
Here's another
a smear
igloo.
of brie,
Look at this
and
igloo
one
thing.
piece of
2
ham.
of them. 2 igloos. Ridiculous. And another one.
No, it's a whole racket. This hotel hasn't gotten enough publicity, but this has also become a migrant hotel.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in great shape.
So I guess this restaurant closed.
Wooga.
Did it? No, it looks like it's still open. But here we have the motorcycle parking lot,
Yeah, they're back.
the car, auto mechanic. This is all haircuts in the street and smoking weed with your kids in the street.
And cops, are these cops here or no?
There's a
Supers.
precinct around the corner, so they probably just parked there.
Here's your Western Union concierge.
Yeah, well, you come out of there with your money, he probably wants some of it.
Right. It's disgusting.
Yeah. So Norm Eisen is gloating. Norm was on MSNBC talking about how this is the granddaddy of all business records crimes, and that incarceration for business records crimes, he was citing other cases. I'm telling you, they're going to do it.
I'd like to look into that, actually, because that's if you're talking business records crimes, that's the Clinton Foundation.
Well, this is what Norm Eisen was talking about
Go
last
ahead.
night on MSNBC. And, you know, he's the one who set this all up, so I think he had those cases in mind at the time that he created it. Is this another place that had their weed
It
confiscated?
would seem.
I didn't even know that was a weed place, and they've already been confiscated. I don't know how you stay in business after they take all the weed.
Yeah,
It's
there's-
a criminal operation.
I haven't been in Springfield, Massachusetts in a long time, and the area around it's quite beautiful, but the center of Springfield, Massachusetts was in 2002, 3, 4, was so devastated.
Why there?
I don't know, it once was a thriving, Springfield,
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
my cousins lived there when I was a kid, and Lee is from there or lived there. for
Yeah,
a certain-
Springfield, Mass in the 17 and 1800s was a thriving, it was kind of like a, not high tech precisely, but it was they had a lot of rivers running through there, so a lot of water powered mills and a lot of activity, and it's just, there's no good reason to keep a business in Springfield, Massachusetts, so the center city is like this.
Wow. But I mean, even 80s and 90s, it was pretty nice neighborhoods and stuff.
Not anymore.
Wow.
Not anymore.
And you know, that's not really like New York, even though it's way downhill, it's still famously New York. Springfield, Massachusetts, I guess, doesn't have that same kind of.
Well, you take away, not just because I used to be in the business, but you take away the high-end deal-making business from the city, and you've got
There's
a
nothing.
husk.
Yeah.
You know, you got, because the lawyers disappear.
Well, they've already gotten rid of the restaurants, the nightlife,
Potbelly, that was a big
lunch
chain.
place, yeah.
Not even, some people are wrecking the
Dwayne Reed.
derelict. I mean, why would you do that? Trying to break
Trying to get in, I guess.
to an empty store?
Maybe they want to sleep in there. Who knows?
It
Got
could
nothing
be.
to do.
I'm surprised they aren't setting more fires.
Duh.
Yes,
Give it a week.
well, colder weather, I guess. Hi.
Oh, wait, I guess it's open. Holy cow!
That's
Isn't
Western
that
Union.
surprising?
The Walgreens. Yeah.
But they took over Dwayne Reed. But why do they have it look like it's blown out and closed if it's actually open and doing business?
I don't know.
It's the new
Let's go for
aesthetic.
it. That's right.
Everything needs to look totally closed.
Broken down to attract the appeal to the Gen Z crowd.
This was a food place.
Was is the key verb.
That just closed.
And Starbucks, I don't know the last time you've been into Starbucks, but A, their coffee sucks. B,
Airport.
their prices are crazy now.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no inflation. Remember when inflation first surfaced and the arguments that they tried to use, well, the fact that there's inflation, that's a good thing. That
Yeah.
means the economy's strong.
He said we want more inflation to Peter Ducey.
Who
And
said
called him
that?
a dumb bastard. Joe Biden.
Said that? No. There's a picture of Joe Biden going on stage and farting and then and freaking out. It might be a deep fake, but it's pretty funny.
Deep fart.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
is-
I'm just amazed that the people around, but there's nobody around Joe Biden who actually loves him, right? Because I mean, he is already by far the worst elected senior official
Ever.
in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he's worse than Idi Amin at this stage. Idi Amin didn't have nukes. You know? Let's see, we don't have the light. That guy waits until the light changes against him to go out.
He's thinking everything through, that guy.
So you're really back in
Look
this
at this.
what?
Back in the what?
The FIT Goodman Center there. That's really nice of you.
Look at this guy.
I'm not getting out of his way.
Smoking a joint. Riding a powered electric thing. Right past the cops.
Those are FIT security
Oh, you're
guards.
right.
But there are two cops.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
They don't care.
The unicycle on the sidewalk with weed, that's good by you guys?
Yep. They're off to their work date.
You know what would be cool? If you could develop a device that you could just push a button and somehow EMF interrupt that thing, because when the wheel stops turning,
Oh, yeah.
that dude does a face plant.
I'd like to go there for lunch.
Yeah, I mean, there was a Japanese, I think that was the Japanese place. Oh, the weed store is closed.
But
Maybe
you
it's
can
out
get a
of
body
business.
massage here, Jason.
Where?
Right here.
Oh yeah, up there. $50.
Sure, that's legitimate.
Actually, some of these massage places are not hooker places and just regular massage places. I do enjoy, particularly as working out a lot, kind of need regular massage.
Yeah. I need a vacation, Jason.
I know all this vacationing has got to be tiring. Well, Charles, it was interesting to take the temperature of the Trump Tower event.
And to the survey of Manhattan. I mean, it's devastated. Thank
Very,
you,
very sad.
Obama.
Oh, what has he said about the Trump?
Well, I mean, we have Biden because of Obama,
Yes.
right? We had the mayhem with Trump because of Obama. And I think I'm starting to see more and more critical commentary from the left on Obama. And as our mutual friend who's a lawyer pointed out, this precedent that you could go after Trump for criminal activity while he was president, Barack Obama used government resources to murder an American citizen with, was it cruise missiles or what was it?
Drone strike, Hellfire missile.
Yeah. You know, why is that okay?
Why not prosecute him? There's no statute of limitations on murder.
I know. Maybe you were telling me that.
Where's the state district attorney to make that case?
Well, it's Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so they'd just let him off and they'd say no, that was presidential immunity.
This police chain is just bombing it, man. It's
I think
everywhere.
this was the paper store. Right?
Was, I guess.
Paper source, I think.
And that Whole Foods, you know Whole Foods better than I do, but didn't it used to take up the whole?
No, that was a separate, initially that was like their body care stuff. Then when
Okay.
Jeff Bezos bought it, they made that into like prepared sandwiches, which I was thinking that's a good idea. They should cook hamburgers in there and stuff. Because if you go to a big Whole Foods in California or something, they usually have a restaurant in there, and this one doesn't have that. And then
There's a
just
fake
right
charity.
after they opened that, we had the pandemic, and they were testing out all the new like scan your phone to pay and all that stuff in there, which they now have in the main supermarket, but they closed this place and they're just staging deliveries from there now.
Here's a fake charity. These guys come out now in the summer.
I know, and they're waving even when you have headphones in and you're on the phone.
Right. They try some snappy line.
But anyway, Charles, I'll be on later tonight
Good. Don't work too hard.
with John Cullen. People can join me for John Cullen Investigates. Become a sponsor on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'll see everybody tonight.